Hi, welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about three senses that most of us were never really taught when we learned the basic five senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. These three hidden senses are called interoception, proprioception, and vestibular. Even though we don't talk about them as much as we talk about the other senses, they have a huge impact on children's behavior, emotions, attention, body awareness, and their ability to calm down. My hope is that by the end of today, some behaviors that may have felt confusing or frustrating will start to make a little more sense. Okay, today we have three main goals. First, we want to understand what the three hidden senses are. Second, and probably the most important, we are going to talk about how they affect behavior. This is the part that's usually the most helpful for parents and caregivers because many behaviors that look like defiance, wildness, clinginess, or meltdowns may actually have a sensory piece underneath. Third, I want you to leave with some simple tools that you can use at home. Nothing complicated, nothing that requires special equipment, just some practical tools that are practical ways that you can notice what your child may need and respond in ways that help. Okay, the big idea for today is that behavior is communication. Now, that doesn't mean that every behavior is okay and still need limits, guidance, and safety. But behavior is often telling us something. Kids are not always simply misbehaving. Sometimes they're overwhelmed. Sometimes they're understimulated. Sometimes they are seeking sensory input that their body needs. Sometimes they do not have the words yet to say, I'm hungry, or I feel unsafe, my body needs movement, or I can't feel where my body is in space. So today we're going to practice looking underneath that behavior and asking, what might my child's body be trying to tell me? Okay, so what are the hidden senses? We all know the basic five senses, but there are other senses working in the background all day long. And the three we're going to be focusing on today are called interoception, proprioception, and vestibular. Interoception is about internal signals, what's happening in the body. Proprioception is about body awareness, where is my body? And the vestibular sense is about balance and movement. How is my body moving? These senses are constantly sending information to the brain, even when we're not consciously thinking about them. For children, especially young children, these systems are still developing. That means they may need adult help to understand what their bodies are feeling and then what to do about it. Okay. One easy way to remember the three hidden senses is by thinking of them as three ones. Interoception asks, what is happening inside my body? That includes things like hunger, thirst, needing to go to the bathroom, pain, tiredness, heart rate, breathing, and even emotional sensations. Next, proprioception asks, where is my body? This helps us know where our arms and legs are without looking, how much force we should use, and how to move safely through space. And finally, the vestibular sense asks, how is my body moving? This has to do with speed, balance, direction, spinning, swinging, jumping, and even changes in head position. These three questions can help us slow down and think differently when a child is struggling. Okay. Let's start with interoception. Interoception is the ability to sense what's happening inside the body. This includes things like hunger, thirst, pain, needing to go to the bathroom, feeling too hot or too cold, feeling tired, or noticing emotions. For adults, many of these things feel obvious. We might think, well, I'm getting irritable because I haven't eaten. I need a break because I'm overwhelmed. It's easy for us to connect the sensation to the need behind it. But children don't always make that connection. A child may not say, I'm hungry and that's why I'm falling apart. Instead, they might whine, cry, refuse directions, become aggressive, or melt down. Interoception helps children build self awareness. It helps them connect body signals to their needs and their feelings. Okay, so why does it matter? Interoception matters because it supports emotional regulation. A child who can notice their body signals has a better chance of understanding what they need before they hit a crisis point. It can help prevent meltdowns because the child and adult can catch the need earlier. It also builds self awareness. Over time, children learn when my stomach feels empty, I need food. Or when my chest feels tight, I might be nervous. Some signs that interoception may be difficult include sudden meltdowns, not noticing hunger or thirst, bathroom accidents, or difficulty identifying feelings. For example, a child might go from seeming fine to completely falling apart. We may later realize they had not eaten enough, or they needed to go to the bathroom, or they were exhausted. The behavior looked sudden, but the body signal had probably been building for a while. Okay. Now, there are several ways that we can support our child's interoception sense. One is teaching them how to do body check ins. So you might ask, what is your body telling you? Or is your tummy hungry or full or okay? Does your body need rest? Does it need water? Does it need to move? Visuals can be very helpful for young children when they need concrete choices. So instead of asking something like, how do you feel? Which can be too abstract, it's a very open ended question. We might show them pictures or give them options like hungry, tired, thirsty, need bathroom, need a hug, need quiet. It's easy to make these into small flashcards that help younger children identify just based on visuals. Scheduling regular snacks and breaks can also help. Some children do not notice hunger until they're already dysregulated, so adults might need to build in predictable support. And finally, labeling body sensations. You might say, oh, your face is red and your fists are tight. I wonder if your body is feeling frustrated or angry. Or you might comment, you are yawning and rubbing your eyes. Your body might be tired. The goal here is not to quiz your child. The goal is to help them connect those physical sensations to their needs. Okay, now let's talk about proprioception. Proprioception is the sense of where your body parts are without looking. For example, you can close your eyes and still touch your nose. You can walk without staring at your feet. You can reach for a cup without having to watch every movement. This sense comes from receptors in the joints and muscles. It tells the brain where your body is and how much force is being used. For children, proprioception affects coordination, safety, how rough or gentle they are, and even their ability to calm and to focus. Okay, so how does it work? Again, it works through sensors in our joints and muscles. And those sensors send messages to the brain about our movement, pressure on our body, and the position of parts of our body. This is how we know how hard to hug someone. It's how we climb, jump, push, pull, carry, and move through a room without bumping into everything. When this sense is working well, a child can usually adjust their body. So they can sit in a chair, they can use an appropriate amount of force, and move around without constantly crashing or falling. When a child needs more support, specifically proprioceptive input, they may seek pressure and heavy work. That might look like jumping, crashing, squeezing, pulling, pushing, climbing, chewing, or wanting very tight hugs. This kind of input can feel very regulating for many children. Proprioception matters because it helps with a child's coordination and motor skills. It also supports their ability to focus and calm down. Deep pressure can feel very organizing for the nervous system. This is why some children calm down after carrying something heavy, or doing wall pushes, crawling through a tunnel, or getting wrapped tightly in a blanket. Proprioception also helps children prevent children from being too rough or too floppy. When a child has trouble with this sense, they may crash into things, play too roughly, chew on objects, bite, seek pressure, or have trouble sitting still. It's incredibly important to remember that some of these behaviors may not be intentional misbehavior. A child who is constantly crashing may be seeking body input. A child who hugs too hard may not know how much pressure they're using. It's still important for us to teach safe behavior, but we can also ask ourselves, how can I give my child appropriate input before their behavior becomes unsafe? Okay. Helpful proprioception activities are often called heavy work. These include carrying groceries or laundry, pushing and pulling wagons or bins, animal animal walks like bear crawls or crab walks, jumping, climbing, and obstacle courses. The helpful tip here is to do these activities before tough times. For example, before homework, before getting in the car, before a transition, before circle time, or before bedtime routines. We often wait until a child is already falling apart, but sensory supports work best when we use them proactively. You might say, before we sit down for homework, let's do 10 wall push ups. Or, can you carry this basket of laundry to the bedroom? Or, let's crab walk to the bathroom before bath time. These are simple, everyday ways to help the body feel more organized and regulated. Next is the vestibular sense. The vestibular sense is your sense of balance and movement. It's controlled by the inner ear. The inner ear detects motion, speed, and direction. It notices whether we're moving up or down, fast or slow, forward or backward, side to side, or spinning. This sense helps children balance, sit upright, move safely, and stay alert. Some children seek a lot of vestibular input. They might love spinning, swinging, jumping, running, or being upside down. Other children are sensitive to vestibular input. They may avoid the same things like swings, climbing, slides, anything that might make them feel off balance or dizzy. Okay, why does vestibular matter? Vestibular input matters for balance and coordination. It also supports core strength and posture, which affect things like sitting upright in a chair or staying balanced while playing. It also affects attention and alertness. Movement can wake up the nervous system when a child is sluggish or help organize the body when a child is restless. Signs of vestibular difficulty can look different depending on the child. Some children are always swinging, running, or moving. They're seeking more input. Other children get dizzy easily or avoid movement. They may be sensitive to that input. Some children have trouble sitting upright or staying balanced. The key here is to notice the pattern. Is the child seeking movement, avoiding movement, falling often, needing to move in order to focus? That gives us clues about what their body may need. Helpful vestibular activities include swinging forward and backward, side to side, sliding, jumping, dancing, balance beams, hopping, and yoga. Spinning can also be vestibular input, but it's best used in small controlled amounts. Spinning can be very intense for the nervous system, and some children become more dysregulated after too much spinning. With vestibular input, it's helpful to watch the child's response. Do they seem calmer and more organized after movement? Or do they become more wild, upset, dizzy, or unable to settle? The same activity can affect two children differently. One child may calm after swinging, another may become overstimulated. We want to observe, adjust, and use movement in a way that helps this particular child regulate. Okay. Your main takeaway for today, I hope, is meet the need, not just the behavior. If we only respond to the behavior, we might miss what's lying underneath. A meltdown might be connected to hunger, thirst, tiredness, or needing the bathroom. That's interoception. Crashing into things might mean the child needs pressure or heavy work. That's proprioception. Not being able to sit still might mean the child needs movement. That's vestibular. This does not mean that we ignore limits. If a child is hurting someone, we still stop the behavior. But after we stop the unsafe behavior, we ask, what need is the behavior communicating? And how can I meet that need in a safer way? Instead of only saying, stop crashing, we might say, couches are not for crash people. Let's push the laundry basket instead. Instead of only saying, sit still, we might say, your body needs movement. Let's do 10 jumping jacks and then come back. That shift can make children feel understood and it gives adults more tools. Now we're going to take a minute to apply this to a real behavior you see at home. Think of one behavior that has been challenging or confusing. It could be meltdowns before dinner, it could be crashing into furniture, chewing on clothing, refusing transitions, bathroom accidents, rough play, or not being able to sit still. Then ask yourself, what might the possible sensory need be? So, first listing the behavior, and then asking ourselves, what could be a sensory need underlying this behavior? Could it be interoception? Are they hungry, thirsty, tired? Do they have to go to the bathroom? Are they having big emotions right now? Could it be proprioception? Do they need pressure, heavy work, and body awareness? Or could it be vestibular? Do they need movement, balance input, or help with too much movement? Then one strategy you will try. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a starting point. The goal is to practice becoming curious about behavior instead of only reacting to it. Then you can pause and ask, what is the need underneath this behavior? We're more likely to respond in a way that teaches, supports, and helps the child regulate. I want to thank you for being here today. The biggest thing I hope you take away is that children's behavior is often their way of communicating something their bodies do not yet know how to explain. When we understand interoception, proprioception, and vestibular sense, we have more ways to help them. We can still set limits, we can still teach safe behavior, but we can also meet the sensory need underneath the behavior. And when children feel more regulated in their bodies, they're better able to listen, learn, connect, and cope. Thank you.